Committee. I'm Cam, and today we'll be working on a hip opening sequence. Join me on the mat. Let's start today with a child's pose. Today's sequence you might need a block, so have one in handy. If you don't, that's also okay. We'll just be mindful of the lack of props if you're at home. And if you do have one, just have one next to you. But let's come into child's pose and we'll work through the sequence. Place your knees mat width distance apart. Allow your head and forehead to ground. I always like to think about having my head find a home in this position. Reconnect with yourself first and be mindful. Lengthen the spine while you're here, so we're not in total relaxation because we try to sit up back towards the heels and reach your arms forward. Take one more breath. Let's come up. Come into your downward facing dog. So I like to think about my alignment for a downward dog. I first come on all fours, so shoulders on top of the wrist, hips on top of the knees, tuck my toes. My first step is always to lift my knees 2 inches off the mat. From here, I push my butt back, so I'm lengthening my spine. My knees are still bent and my heels are high, and that's totally fine if you want to stay here. If you want to straighten your legs, do so, but don't compensate for curving your spine. And again, it really depends on how you're feeling today. You can start lowering your heel one at a time. Some of you might have been already very active. Some of you have been doing this for the first time. So really be mindful of what your body needs. After moving a little bit, stay static in your downward facing dog wherever you are, with your knees bent, with your heels up, wherever you are. Just make sure that your spine is still nice and long. Alright? From here, lift your heels up and lift your right leg up. So you're on the ball of your left foot. As you lift your right leg up, bend your right knee and open the hip. Again, it doesn't have to be too far. You just need to feel that you're opening your hip flexor. You're stretching the inner part of your left thigh. Alright, from here, move your shoulders forward, bring your knee towards your nose, crunch. Inhale up, keeping your heel of your left foot up, bend your right leg, and as you crunch, bring your right knee towards your right elbow. Inhale up, keep your knee bent, and exhale as you crunch your right knee to your left elbow, do a little bit of a twist. Inhale back to center, straighten your legs, and as you exhale, crunch one more time to the center and step your foot next to your hand. You can move your foot forward if you can't step forward at one time. Just be patient with yourself. So even if you step here, you need to bring your foot forward. Alright, now from here, lower your left knee down and tuck your left toes. Come into a low lunge. You can place your palms on your front knee. Make sure that you're still engaging your buttock, so you're not letting loose of your buttock as you're in this low lunge. You can feel your hip flexor on the left side. From here, if you're leaning forward, you're not going to feel as much. So what you're going to do is support yourself by pushing yourself up with your arms and sink your hips down. So if you're up here, try to really sink it down, bend the front knee even more so you're feeling the hip flexor. Stay here. Be patient with yourself. Take one more breath. Then from here, place your fingertips on your mat. You can sit back. See how far you can go with your half split. It doesn't have to be that you need to totally straighten your front leg. It really depends on how you're feeling in your hamstrings. But try to lengthen the spine. So keep your spine nice and long by sticking your tailbone back. So as if you're like sticking your butt out a little bit. Again, your hamstrings, if they're really tight, your knee might be bent in front. So really try to work on straightening as far as you can. And your fingertips just helps you with a little bit of support. Bend your front knee one more time. Now I want you to walk. When you bend your front knee, and try to sink your hips as far down as you can. I want you to walk your right foot closer to the right edge of your mat. And if you need to, just grab the block and hold on to it higher. It will help you with a locust pose. You don't need a block for this. You can come on your hands. And if you're still feeling really open, come on your elbows. Again, many options. Make sure that your knee and your toes are pointing the same direction. So your knee is not turning up and your toes are still pointing forward. If you want to, you can push your knee out and you can open your foot up. Again, your knee and your foot needs to be in the same direction. Opening your hips, staying in locust position. Be patient with yourself and just breathe into the tightness. Where you're tight, it's probably where you need to focus on opening and paying more attention. Come back up. Walk your foot a little bit closer towards the center as we moved it towards the edge. Then do a second time, half split again. Shift your hips back. Try to straighten your front knee, front leg as much as you can. So this is the second go at your hamstrings. Now what I want you to focus on also is to move your right hip back and shift your left hip forward. So you don't end up doing this. You're really squaring hips to one line as much as you can. Flexing your foot in front will really work on the hamstrings. Alright, bend the front knee, frame your hands, and push back up. To three-leg dog, bend your knee, open your hip. A lot of hip opening. This is the point of the sequence today. Alright, now what you do is swing your leg forward and come sit on a pigeon position. So in your pigeon position, the closer you have your foot, the easier it is for you, the more relaxed it is. So for those who feel like they want a challenge, they can pull their foot forward, but don't compensate for sitting down on your right hip. Really think about sitting up tall. When you look back at your leg at the back, think about whether it's parallel to your mat. That would be in a good position. If it's not parallel, then you need to adjust your stance. Okay, from here, sit up and just reach forward, relax, and open the hips. So we are staying in pigeon for a little bit longer, so it helps you to open the hips. If you need to, you can always come on a block underneath your right hip. That helps. Or you can have a block in front and just come up higher. Use the block to help you as a support for you, as your friend, and helps your body. And hold it for 3 more breaths. We're going to come up and bring the back leg across. If this is too much for you, then straighten the bottom leg. Yeah. If you can't keep your leg at the pigeon position, but at the bottom, try to straighten it. spine. Release on the hips. Alright. Come back. Cross your legs. Place your palms down and step back to your downward facing dog. And we're going to do the other side. So everything on the other side again. You can feel the difference between your hips, your right hip and your left hip. Now that you've opened the right hip a little bit more. Again, with any of the postures that we do, you can always pause the video and just hold it for a little bit longer. Take one deep breath through the nose and exhale through the nose. Inhale, raise your left leg up. Bend the left knee. Come on the ball of your right foot. So your heels are high. We stay on the ball. We really want to bend the top knee. Open the hips. And as you exhale, shift the shoulders forward. Crunch your left knee towards your chin. Inhale, kick back, keeping your left knee bent. Open the hips. Exhale, crunch your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, kick back, shoulders back. Exhale, crunch your left knee to your right elbow. Inhale, come back center, straighten the legs. And as you exhale, crunch your left knee towards the center and step. Again, your step doesn't need to be wide. You just need to move your foot when you step forward and lower your right knee down. Okay, just make sure that you have enough of a distance between your heel and your knee. Alright, from here, hold, come up, have your fingers interlock. What I want you to do is sink your hips down, so bend the front knee more. Start feeling the hip flexor on the right side. You might feel that one side is tighter than the other, which is perfectly normal. Use your palms to press yourself up and really stretch the right side of your body. Stay here. 3 more breaths. Place your fingertips down. Shift your hips back. We're going to stretch the hamstring, just testing it for the first time. You don't need to straighten your leg right away. If it's bent, that's okay. Just feel that you're still lengthening the spine by sticking your tailbone back and lengthening your heart forward. So your knee doesn't need to be totally straight. It can be slightly bent, it can be very bent. You just need to feel what works for you. Again, lifting your toes off the mat will just increase the intensity of the hamstring stretch. Just hold it here for 2 more breaths. And think about shifting your left hip back and shifting your right hip forward so that your hips are in one line. Bend the front knee more. Now, walk your foot towards the edge of the mat, your left foot towards the edge of the mat. Alright, from here, again, you can hold it to a block, come into a locust position. Sink your hips down, so your hips are not far up. You really let gravity draw them down towards the mat. Or you can hold, have your hands on the mat, come down on your elbow. For this one, if you want to open your hip, make sure that you also flip your foot across. So if you really want to open and push your hip, taking it to the next level, just make sure that your foot isn't grounded as you open your hips. Wherever you are, you just need to feel that you have a good grounding and your hips are open. One more breath. Come up. Walk your foot towards the center of the mat. You're going to do it for the second time. pushing your right hip forward. So you're squaring the hips as you stretch your hamstrings. Lengthen the spine. One more breath. Place your palms, bend your knee. And come back into your downward facing dog. Take one deep breath here. And exhale, come on your knees. So we're going to come into a hero position. What that means is you want to sit down, use your block, if that comes in handy for you. I need to use a block for this. If your knees need to be open, that's fine. We'll try to have them closed and have your heels close to your buttocks. Now, a lot of us are very tight on this, the inner part, and also on the IT band. So really be careful when you sit down on the block. Yeah. All right. If you don't need a block, you can sit directly on the mat. But if you're feeling any pain on your knees, don't push any further and stay here. For those of you who are feeling good, sitting here, you can work on lowering down to your elbows. Of course, slide all the way down. And feeling the stretch on your quads and your hips. This is, of course, only if you're feeling good. Otherwise, come back to basics. Sit in a block. Work on the inner part of your hips. And you can stay here for as long as you like. This is an active but restorative position. It's really good for releasing tension in the inner part of the hip that we usually do not pay attention to. Come back and sit. Thank you for joining me on the hip opening sequence.